Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me today in this live webinar on understanding the causes and natural treatments for frustration, irritability, and anger, according to Ayurveda. Now, most of the time, we don't think of these type of emotions as something that we can manage with changing our diet, but that's not the case. There's many dietary changes that we can do to help to reduce down this type of, internal frustration and anger that builds up. And many herbs, which we're going to talk about as well, that can give you quite a fast and quick management of these anger and irritability. So let me first be clear in what category we're talking about for our health. When we're talking about this anger, there's many causes of anger and frustration, but we're talking about one category of person. And this is a person who's generally, we say Pitta, means fire, means they're warm-blooded, warm body temperature, red face, red skin, pointed features, pointed tongue. And generally, the characteristic of this person who has a short temper, irritability, and anger, their body is warm. So we could say they're hot, hot-blooded, hot-skinned, hot temper. So there's this certain heat we're talking about, and it's called Pitta. So we're talking about this Pitta, or fire. So we're talking about fire in your head, according to Ayurveda. So there's other reasons you could have anger. There's also kind of like anxiety can bring on anger. This is like Vata pushing Pitta. Vata is anxious, nervous, overstimulated, and didn't eat. And then you feel hungry, stimulated, and then this can evolve into anger and irritability and short temper because you didn't eat, and you're lightheaded, and you're stimulated on coffee or sugar or something. This is a different type of anger than we're talking about. And you could have had some trauma or bad experience, or met somebody that affects you in an adverse way, or you could have seen a very violent movie and then you're affected for that period of time. So we're talking about a person whose susceptibility to being angry their whole life, short-tempered. Anybody know anybody like that? Hopefully you're in that category. And just like some people, Vata type people who are Vata Prakriti, or have a Vata imbalance or Vikriti, they tend to be anxious, nervous, restless. So now we're talking about somebody who has a Pitta Vikriti, who's hot, warm, irritable, short-tempered, and hungry, strong appetite. That's the category that we're speaking about. So when I say we're covering natural treatments for frustration, irritability, and anger, we're really categorizing the person in this category. And other things that this person would have when they're in this category is often a red face, red skin, and a strong appetite, often having acidity and heartburn as well. And if you feel their body, they feel warm. If you feel their pulse, you feel kind of a hot heat in their blood. So that's why we call this type of person hot-blooded person. So this webinar is about balancing this type of heat, hot-bloodedness that leads to anger, short temper, frustration. So let's talk first about the causes. Well, what causes this? Well, in Ayurveda, of course, the cause is Pitta. Pitta means the fire. So that means if you're already a warm person with a strong appetite and you're getting a red face, rosacea, or even rashes or psoriasis and anger, they often go together because these are all Pitta conditions. So you would want to avoid, first thing you want to avoid, if you're in this category and you're having anger issues, and particularly if this sounds just like you, red face and hungry, then you, I mean strong appetite, not just hungry, but strong appetite. Then first thing you want to avoid is hot, spicy food. No chili peppers, no cayenne peppers, not even too much black pepper, and not even too much ginger. And even too much turmeric is because it's related to ginger. It's also warming, particularly in big doses, can aggravate and heat up this type of person. So you want to focus on cooling foods, right? If somebody says, hey, chill out, chill out. If people are always telling you to chill, chill, then they're actually giving you good advice. They're telling you cool down, chill down. So that means you should have cooling foods, cucumbers, sweet fruit, butter, sweet fruit is very effective. Sweet taste and bitter taste, like salads, leafy greens are sweet. Lettuce is sweet and bitter. So salad is very good. And sweet fruit like red grapes, purple grapes, not green grapes, and you should try to avoid sour things. So let's get this straight. No hot, spicy, and no sour. It means not citrus. Citrus is creating more acid, more hunger, more appetite. No vinegar, not too much sour. Do sweet, like melons. This is a very cooling food. In fact, sometimes when I'm talking about this Pitta type of person, my client says, well, that sounds just like my husband or wife, all short-tempered, hot, irritable, when they, angry when they don't eat. And I go, okay, what you can do is when they come home, give them a half a cantaloupe or some sweet fruit. And they go, that works fantastic. A husband comes back, maybe he's got an aggressive job, like in the military or the police or something where, you have to be kind of fired up and maybe slightly aggressive just to do your job. And then they come home and they're barking at the kids and yelling at the wife. Just family is just quiet and just give him some sweet fruit, feed him like cantaloupe, honeydew. And then you see him cool down, because cantaloupe and honeydew and melons are perfect because they're sweet and cool. So you want sweet fruits, sweet foods, and cooling foods. And avoid hot and sour, because these are increasing Pitta. Okay, so that's the first dietary change. You really need to get rid of sour and vinegar and have more sweets. And then rice is sweet, white rice is sweet. Particularly if you have loose stools or diarrhea, then white rice feels very nice. So, and it's sweet. You can enjoy it. Wheat is considered sweet. These are when this person eats a big meal, then they'll feel better. Now, there's other foods that can aggravate Pitta and anger. In Ayurveda, there's 3 states of the mind. We have the Sattvic state, peaceful, and then we have Tamasic, which is depressed and unmotivated and undriven and lethargic. That's another webinar on depression. You can watch next week. And then there's Rajasic state, where the mind is stimulated and aggressive and active. And this Rajasic state, when it's high, you become aggressive and anger and short-tempered. So you don't want to have foods that are increasing this Rajasic state. What increases this Rajasic state? Red meat, garlic, onions. So if you go to India and the holy cities, there's 7 holy cities in India. In these holy cities, you can't sell meat and garlic and eggs. Now, you can still buy them, but just the shops don't have them. They're not legally, you can't sell them. And that's because it's a holy city. They want you to be Sattvic, which means peaceful, calm, at ease. And that's the direction the person who's Rajasic is aggressive, assertive, achieving, motivated, maybe too motivated and pushing people out of the way, and too aggressive. That's too much Rajasic. We need to be Rajasic to some degree to get things done and have a job. But when we get too Rajasic, we become too aggressive, too angry. And this even can lead to a violence. And in this case, we need to reduce all the red meat, lamb, beef, and even pork, and do more leaner meats and fish and legumes and lentils. Particularly if there's a weight issue as well, then we want to take out all that meat and just do lentils and beans to lose the weight, bring down this Rajasic aggressive nature. Now, if your job is in military and you have to go fight, or you're in the police and you have to do work with, aggressive people, for example, or you're in some training, or you're in a sports, you're a boxer, you're probably going to need that meat to have the oomph, the stamina, the drive, the pitta, to do your job. So it'd be hard to be a professional boxer and be a vegetarian, for example. So it may not be suitable for everybody based on your profession. But for the rest of us, if we feel anger, aggression, and in our lives, and we want to reduce this down, then getting off of red meat, having more legumes, having more fish will help us, and avoiding garlic and onion. These are very stimulating. Also when a person's too rajasic and there's anger, there's often a lot of passion, where, desire for sex is often accompany this. And we know that garlic is a type of aphrodisiac and stimulant. So if you're celibate and you're trying to be Southwick, you don't want to have thoughts of sex, thoughts of aggression and accomplishment. You want to be in a peaceful state of mind. So then we have foods that are not stimulating, like coffee, chocolate, and garlic. These are all stimulating, and some of these are even garlic and onions. We could even are somewhat aphrodisiac. So no hot spicy, no red meat, no garlic. You want to tone down, cool down, more salads, more sweet fruits, between your meals. Snack on sweet fruits, melons and sweet grapes and things like this that are very sweet. Sweet apples, not apple cider vinegar, not sour things, not grapefruit, sweet. So you become sweet. Because if you're complaining all the time, then you become sour. So if you become sour, we want to make you sweet. So you have sweet fruits, sweet fruit, and you will become more sweet. Okay? If you're hot-blooded, hot-tempered, then you have to have cooling foods. Okay? So those are the changes you can make to a diet. It's basically called a Pitta or pacifying or Pitta reducing diet. Pitta again means fire. That's an element of fire. There's a lot of fire. So you're reducing down the fire. And when you do that, your appetite will come down a little better. Your irritability, your anger, your frustration, everything will tone down slightly, and you won't be causing this condition. So you can see people who eat a lot of red meat, drinking a lot of alcohol, they're going to be more aggressive. And alcohol is increasing this pitta because it's a fermented food. So you don't want a lot of fermented foods if you have acidity and anger issues. So alcohol is fermented, stimulating, and heating. So this is increasing anger. So you see a person who's drunk, they get all red and irritable and angry. So if you have an anger issue, you shouldn't be having alcohol. You should be having coconut water. I know that's a big change from whiskey to coconut water, but you get the point. If you drink coconut water all day instead of your whiskey, I can assure you, you won't be as aggressive and irritable. And if you have your beans instead of red meat, you're not going to be so rough and short-tempered. You're going to tone it right down. Okay? And don't skip meals because we can get hangry. This type of person who's Pitta body type or Vikriti can get hangry by not eating. So you should be eating your 3 meals, not skipping meals. So those are the guidelines for your diet, and that can help you a lot. A few home remedies is don't take hot showers and go in hot steam baths. Do cool showers. And one of the best things to cool down a Pitta person who's got anger issues, who's all hot, is swimming. Throw them in some cold water. Okay. Put them in a pool. Go swimming in the ocean. And a lot of people who have this condition of being Pitta, or the Greeks, they called mesomorph, they have a warm body temperature. They were swimmers, champion swimmers, because this Pitta person is quite a muscular sports athlete type of body. and they go running hot and warm. So swimming is perfect for them. It gets out their aggression and cools them down. Okay, so eat your sweet fruits, never miss meals, no spicy, no sour, and jump and take cold showers whenever you get too hot, or jump in your pool. If you're a wealthy Pitta, get a pool so you can go swimming every day and stay cool. Otherwise, you take cool showers. Don't have hot things. And you can see sometimes Pitta people, you know, they have this anger, they're hot-blooded, they're, you know, their face is red, their blood pressure gets high, their ears get all red, and they, you know, get mad easily, and they're having chili pepper every day. And they're going, but I love chili pepper. And of course, I always say, you know, overweight people like donuts too. And insomniacs sometimes love coffee. So we can be attached to our own bad habits, addicted to our own bad habits. So when a Pitta person loves hot, spicy foods, it's in a type of addiction. You become addicted to this being hot-tempered and being angry. You can see this sometimes with boss, or, you know, he's bossing everybody around, and he's, you know, irritable at everybody, but there's something about him, he likes it. Like maybe you can imagine the sergeant in the military yelling at everybody, no, give me 10 more, down on the round, give me 1 more, you know, and then he's eating chili pepper and hot food. He's getting into this state of being rajasic, aggressive, and hot-tempered. He's loving it. He's eating the meat, the chili pepper, and he's just living a life being in this state of mind of this aggression. But of course, you know, this can be damaging to the liver, damaging to all of his relationships. You know, spouses will run and he won't be able to stay married very long. You know, kids will move out earlier. You know, nobody likes him, and they'll call him bad names behind your back. So you'd rather tone down and, you know, learn how to exert yourself and exert authority without you know, being overly aggressive. That's right, Sandy. Workaholics have this too. They can get into just working hard and pushing everybody, and then they're having chili pepper and coffee, and they're just wired and hot, and, you know, they think it's like they're successful. They're, you know, maybe people like brokers in New York making a lot of money can be in this state of mind, but it's not healthy. And they'll have like a kind of a burnout. So I think you understand this type of person, this type of state. You don't have to be to that degree, but if you definitely feel you're warm and hot and you have short-tempered, you're in the right place. So now let's talk about some things we could do. A little home remedy is rose water. Just spray that rose water in the air. Something, or put roses out, sweet things. But say if you have a wife, or there's a woman in your life who's always yelling at you. Anybody have one of those? Okay, that's enough. I got it. You got them. So what you do is you get her flowers, because flowers are sweet and have a nice scent, and roses and lavender flowers will help the person calm down. And a lot of Pitta men who have aggression, you ask them, do you like roses? And they go, yeah, I do. So, you know, it's funny, like they're aggressive and macho and eating meat and drinking alcohol, but they like roses. Yeah, I like them. Make me calm. So, you know, they like the flowers. So you should always use pastels and soft colors. Don't wear bright colors in front of them and bright things. This is not suitable. And a lot of times you can find these type of people, they have a red car, and that's not a good color for them. They shouldn't have too much red, you know, in their lives, and too much stimulation. So roses are a nice alternative. So now we'll talk, and even you can do rose powder. Now we have many herbs here. This is taruni, but taruni is rose powder. That's a pound of rose petal powder. Oh, it's lovely. And just really, you really can enjoy that scent. And we put that in a formula here, which we're going to talk about right here when I cover a few more of the herbs. Another really good herb for Pitta is called shankhpushpi, wherever it went. There it is, shankhpushpi. This is an Indian herb, shankhpushpi, organic shankhpushpi. Now, shankhpushpi is a relaxing herb, but it's very good for irritability anger, and it's very good for cleansing out the liver, getting heat out of the liver. So all of our Pitta liver herbs are using a lot of shankhpushpi. And then really one of the best herbs for Pitta is Brahmi. So I don't see my Brahmi powder here, but I have I have some Brahmi tea. Look at this tea. This is a nice tea. Let's see if we can get that to focus there real quick. It's called brain tea. But the main ingredient, there you go, Brahmi. First is ginkgo. Ginkgo is one of the oldest trees in the world, millions of years old, around during the time of the dinosaurs, and it helps with memory and circulation. And there's Brahmi, which is a premier herb for the mind, and gotakola for circulation. It's related to Brahmi. Little sage, little lemon balm, which is from the mint family, rosemary, and a little ginger as a catalyst and helping with circulation. So this Brahmi, though, is perfect for Pitta. It's making you calm and bringing down this irritability and anger. And somebody texted me on the side, yeah, even cannabis is similar in the sense that it's nervine, taking the edge off of you, and people do use it for anger. So so we got Brahmi, we got shankhpushpi, we got rose petals, and we also have another herb called jatamansi, which is also a flower. See, jatamansi is also a flower, very calming herb. And we put it all together in a formula, and we call it Cool Head. That's right. Look at that. For irritability, frustration, anger, and hypercriticism. You know somebody who's hypercritical? Say hello if you do. And also will bring more mental clarity and peace of mind. And look at the ingredients. Shankhpushpi, which I mentioned, is kind of a nervine, but balancing Pitta. Brahmi, the premier herb. Taruni, that's the rose petals. Jatamansi, relaxing. Guduchi sattva is a antipyretic. It's a cooling, anti-inflammatory herb. And there's mukti pishti there. Mukti pishti is a pearls. And so it's a little pearl powder in there. And a good gift also for a woman or a man who's irritable, hot-tempered, is pearls, pearl necklace. Very cooling. And another home remedy for a person who's angry is don't go out in the sun. Go take walks out at night under the moonlight. The moon is cool. So you notice a lot of people who they get hot easily and they don't like the sun, they go for a walk at night. And that feels cool, particularly when the moon's out. So that's cooling. So that's our main formula for anger and irritability. We call Cool Head, and it works well. People have said they had to take a lot when they were really irritable, but it did work. And we have variations of it. This one's called Calm and Cool, and it's just a little like if you get, we call it kind of like anxious, frustration, irritability. And there, Brahmi's first. There's shankhpushpi. There's jatamansi again. There's guduchi, but this is not guduchi sattva, so it's not as cooling. And there's sandalwood, which is also very cooling, and a little licorice. So this one's not as cooling. It's a little more calming, so we call it Calm and Cool. Also works very nice. And then if sometimes Pitta people who are hot, they wake up in the middle of the night like, oh, I go to sleep because I'm tired of yelling at everybody all day or bossing them around. A lot of times these people are owners, the bosses, the general, the president. A lot of these, high-ranking people are actually Pitta type of personality, but they wake up often in the middle of the night. So we have a special sleeping formula just for them. There's that shankhpushpi, and then we use chamomile, another flower, Brahmi, jatamansi again, tagar, which is a little warming, but it's a sedative. There's taruni, the rose petal, and there's mukti pishti, the processed pearl powder again. So this is kind of like cooling and a sedative. So sometimes I'll give people this Brahmi tea to just drink all day long, because that Brahmi is good for the mind and good for Pitta. And then if they feel a little irritable, they can add a little Cool Head to it, which we went through. And then at night, before they go to bed, they can do a little Pitta sleep to help them sleep through the night, not wake up, because as the Pitta time is the middle of the day. That's why when it's hot out, they can get more irritable and short-tempered and they need to eat. And then in the middle of the night is another Pitta time, 12 to 2 in the morning, and they can wake up again. We can also take Brahmi in oil. This is a type of Brahmi oil. I just call it brain oil. And you can put a couple drops in your nasal passages like this. So this is also nice. Nice. And that's slow acting. You don't feel it right away. It works for children. Like say you have a little tyrant of a child, you know, just put a little of that oil in his nose like that will help him out. And that's enough for a child to take the edge off of him. And another one we have is Pitta oil. It's a massage oil if you're really hot and burning up. You can see sunflower oil. There's the Brahmi again. Guduchi, the cooling, that's like antipyretic. And there's Shatavari, one of the best herbs for Pitta. We're going to talk about this herb because it's very cooling, and we use it for hot flashes. And there's Manjista. It's good for Pitta and the skin. And there's passionflower, Western herb. It's in licorice, coriander, okay, and musta, and a little lavender. So this is a very, see, cooling and calming. So this oil, you could even put on your temples. Sometimes people that are getting these, you know, Pitta headaches where they're getting inflamed across the eyes, the bright lights getting them, and they're getting these like migraines, you know, that's, and they get angry too because of that. It's all the same. People may come, I get angry, I get migraines, I get red face. It's all the same thing in Ayurveda, Pitta. So you get some of this Pitta oil and you just put it on your temples, maybe in the bottom of your feet, in your nostrils here, and it cools you down. Now, if you're really hot, really, and you want a proper treatment, you just massage your whole body, or have somebody massage your whole body in the Pitta cooling oil. And also this, they have a Brahmi Grita, which is Brahmi in ghee. I'm out of it because there's so many Pitta people, but I have another one here. It's called Nerve Ghee. So it looks like this one. This one is got a different herbs in it, but Brahmi, but it looks just like this. But we call it brain ghee. And this brain ghee, you can have 1 teaspoon every day. Also, if you have a child like a 10 or 11-year-old with anger, irritability problems, just 1 teaspoon of that brain ghee in the morning, which is just basically Brahmi, will take the edge off of that child, balance the Pitta, and you will see a better person. And this is sandalwood essential oil, also very good for Pitta. Particularly, it's got a nice sweet scent, but not too flowery, so nice for a man. Woman, you give rose, lavender, and for man, who's Pitta, me. Some people say that I'm short-tempered and irritable, but I don't think so. But I hear it sometimes. But I use my sandalwood essential oil, and it helps. It helps. Other things that are very cooling, of course, for Pitta are aloe vera. Now, this is aloe vera's inner leaf. This is the inside of the leaf, because the outside of the leaf is a strong laxative and colon irritant. And a lot of Pitta people have loose stools, easy to get diarrhea, particularly if they have spicy or hot food. So we use the inner leaf so we don't have a strong laxative effect. But Pitta, aloe vera is nurturing, anti-inflammatory, cooling the skin, bringing down heat, bringing down inflammation, and helps, you know, even the intestinal lining heal from past ulcers that they may have had in the past. Oh, here's another one I have. This is called Brahmi Rasyana. Rasyana means restorative, rejuvenative. And this is herbs in Brahmi, mostly Brahmi in ghee and honey, and some other herbs. And this is Rasyana, means restorative. It's a really delicious. And you can take 1 teaspoon at night, and even the whole next day, you feel more peaceful. See, so the goal of this person who's rajasic, fired up, irritable, is to chill, to calm, to cool. So meditation is good. Yoga is good. Not going to a gym and lifting weights and pushing yourself and sweating with a bunch of, just testosterone driven guys in there trying to build muscles. No, that's going to make you more pitta, more irritable, more aggressive. You need to go to the yoga class, do some breathing, have your coconut water, and relax, and then go for a swim. And you'll be surprised, within days, you can see your aggressive, overly assertive, irritable, angry nature is under control. And it's just doesn't mean that it's good or bad. Probably these type of pittas are very great achievers in life. Ghee can be combined with honey. In these formulas, they do it in the right proportion. It's mostly ghee, little honey, and a lot of herbs, and mostly Brahmi in that case. So you can get Brahmi ghee. The Brahmi ghee doesn't have the honey, but the Rasiana has the honey. So you'll be surprised I have clients who have this anger issues. Even I've had clients who had to go to anger management courses, and they found, wow, the herbs work fantastic. They just got rid of the spicy food, cut out the red meat, and took their cool head formula, and that was it. Anger was under control. And the herbs then become like a tool. Just like a person who has anxiety, they take the calming herbs to just help them to get through that tough period where they feel anxious. So it's the same with a person who has irritability. His nature, kind of like a tiger. Rawr, he's just easy to get. This type of person's like living with a tiger. They'll eat you up unless you keep feeding them and keep them calm. So keep feeding them. Here's another great herb for Pitta, and that's Shatavari. Now, this is Shatavari ghee, and we use this for women with having hot flashes and heat. But sometimes we give it to men because some men are saying, hey, I'm wearing like a t-shirt in the winter time. I'm getting I'm not even a woman, but I feel like I'm having, hot flashes sometime. I'm this type of person. Some people, they can just be sweaty and red and hot. So that type of man, I can give him Shatavari and Shatavari ghee and help to bring down that heat, just like we give Shatavari ghee to the menopausal woman. You can give it to a really hot man too, and it's good for reproductive system of both the man and the woman. So a lot can be done with herbs. Even sometimes people only get irritable when they're stressed out. So you can give them relaxing tea, where you've got skullcap, catnip, motherwort, lavender, and there's rose petals in there too. So, it's good for anxiety and stress, and that may be all some people need, particularly if you find that you're not really this hot person who's getting irritable. You're more like a sensitive, nervous person getting irritable. Then you don't want to focus on the cooling herbs and the cooling foods. You want to focus on the nervines, the relaxing and soothing herbs more. So what else we've got here? Well, we talked passionflower. We talked about passionflower, Western herb, very calming, soothing. Chamomile. This is good for Pitta and Vata. There we go. Chamomile flowers. Mostly it's the flowers. You notice the trend: lavender, chamomile, rose. These are all the things that are going to help the Pitta person to feel more calm and less irritable. And then, of course, the oils, the Pitta oil over the whole body. So those are the guidelines. And, I tell people that's just your nature. You're just a hot-tempered guy. Nothing wrong with that. But you just need to keep it under control and manage it and not let it get too much. And that's why this person is often midlife. They get into meditation and yoga, and they start to try to balance out that aggressive nature later in life. So I recommend that before, you get fired or your spouse leaves you for yelling at them, or you get arrested for being too aggressive. It's better to, manage it with these dietary guidelines and and some herbs or flowers and things like this, and swimming. These all can help. Now, if you need more help with this type of mental state, then feel free to contact me. And I can do a complete evaluation and get more information. And sometimes I'll adjust the herbs right for that person. I don't even use the standard ones that I'm talking about here because we're all very different. And sometimes I'll just make a special formula for that client, particularly if there's real, mental instability like schizophrenia or bipolar or something where it's not cut and dry. We may have to make a special formula to help that person, to help their mind be more stable. And we should think of our mind as something that we manage, not us. Don't get too lost in your own thoughts. It's easy to think, oh, that person should have done that. Well, this is a thought, or that person could have done that. And then you get angry. But we don't really know what other people's happening in their lives. We don't know why they did that. If we understood why they did that, maybe we would be more understanding and have more empathy. So it's a lot of times our own thoughts are our problem. Stephen Covey told a very famous story of a man, and he was on a subway train, and he saw these three kids running all around, screaming and carrying on. And he looked, the father just had his head down and wasn't disciplining these children at all. And the man watching, he just couldn't take it any longer. He just like, this is terrible. These kids are just out of control. And the father's not doing anything. So he got all upset, and he was thinking he's a bad father. He's thinking these are some brat kids. And, all these thoughts are going through his head, and he's getting angry and fired up. I'm elaborating on the story a little bit there. And then he goes up to the father, and he says, hey, can't you get control of your kids? I mean, they're creating a ruckus here. I mean, you're pissing everybody off. And the guy looks up and he goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I just didn't notice them. We just came back from the hospital and their mother just died. So are you angry now anymore? No. Now you understand the situation. Now you're able to empathize. Now those children don't bother you anymore. Their mother just died. They saw their own mother die in a hospital. Now you're not upset at the father. You're hugging the father. You're talking to the children. Everything changed when you understood the situation. And the only reason that person got angry is because their own thoughts got out of control. Like, you could be angry at somebody. Why didn't you ship it? Why didn't you ship it on time? And then you find out, oh, maybe they had a death in the family and they were at a funeral, so they couldn't ship it. So now you're like, oh, okay, never mind. I'm sorry. So don't jump to conclusions. Don't judge people. Nobody can judge anybody else. We don't know what other people's lives are. We don't know what other people's problems are, what difficulties that they've had in their life. So it's very important to empathize and realize there's something you don't know, and you can't control everything. And so there's no point to judge. We cannot control. You can't, if you get mad, why you're late? You shouldn't be late. You should be on time. The train had an accident and they had to send a bus to pick us up. Oh, never mind. So you don't know why that person's late. So there's no point to get upset. People aren't doing things to get you upset. You're getting yourself upset by imagining that they're doing it against you, or they don't care about you. When in fact, you don't know their life. You don't know their suffering. You don't know what their circumstances are. Nobody can control anything. We don't know why things happen. Like this webinar, it didn't start. The picture kept going out. Well, we could have got mad. You could have got mad. Glad you didn't. You stayed there. I also stayed calm. But we don't know why. We don't control everything in life. So don't try to control. Don't try to judge. And don't try to think. Meditate. Because when you meditate, you're learning to control your mind and not let it run crazy. Just like the person who overthinks and then they get afraid. There's many people that overthink and then they get angry. Why'd you do that to me? You shouldn't have done that to me. You don't like me. You don't care for me. You don't respect me. This is all projection. So let's try to find peace, not get lost in our own thoughts, and try to live a more peaceful life and be more accepting of other people and not judgmental and not critical. So I hope that helps you feel more relaxed. And if all that doesn't work, give me a call and I'll send you the herbs to get it under control. And the herbs really just are like a tool to help you during the rough spots. But ultimately, you yourself have to get control of your mind and have to see the things that are making you worse. Maybe it's violent movies, maybe it's chili peppers, maybe it's the hot sun, and you're going to have to make some of these changes to your life. Maybe it's skipping meals. So all of these things you should try to work on. And you can't change overnight, just like the overweight person can't lose weight overnight. The anxious person can't become calm overnight. The hot-tempered, irritable guy isn't going to chill out overnight. You're going to have to work at it. And the herbs become tools that just make it easier, that you can fall back on, that you can use. Okay, so feel free to contact me if you need some help in managing your emotions, whether it's too much anxiety, too much anger, or even depression, or unstable state of mind. Herbs can be very beneficial. And there's always room to eat the right foods to help you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.